That's right. You're listening to another episode of the co-main event mixed martial arts podcast. I'm Chad Dundas. That's Ben Folks. We're both longtime MMA journalists, and for the last 13 years, we've been meeting here every week to break down all the action in the wild, weird, and occasionally wonderful world of mixed martial arts. Ben, spring has certainly arrived here in Montana, as evidenced by the fact that about 5 minutes before we started recording this, it hailed super hard for like 60 seconds.
Some classic Montana spring shit right there.
And now it's basically just sunny again.
This is the thing people don't understand. You got to keep your head on a swivel out there in the streets in Montana spring. You don't know. You don't know 1 minute to the next what you're looking at. Chad, I alerted you to this just before we started recording. I'm going to read this just for the people.
This is some breaking news.
It is kind of some breaking news. I saw it via MMA Fighting. They say that Marca, which I assume is a Spanish publication, was the first to report the news. But the headline says, Ilia Topuria parts ways with longtime coaches ahead of UFC 317 lightweight title fight. To which I must say, whoa. Because, I mean, I get it. Maybe I don't know what's going on in everybody's life, why they felt they might have needed to make that change. It goes on to say that it is more for logistical reasons, just like finding the time and the opportunities to get together and train, and that things were difficult with people living in different places and whatnot. But I had got the sense, based on the man's undefeated record and victories over two featherweight goats before he decided to move up, that things had been going pretty well. And now you want to change coaches? I don't know, man. I'm a little concerned. I have concerns.
I mean, maybe this is a thing that happened a while ago and we're just now finding out about it. But this seems like a thing that if you were gonna do it, you would have done it a while ago, right? You wouldn't just announce it now after we all know that you're heading in to this vacant lightweight title fight against Charles Oliveira. This seems like a bad time to do this stuff. Like, if you were going to do this, it should have been done, not right now, like, 3 months ago, something like that. So maybe this is a thing that's just now working its way out to us via the media. But if not, it doesn't seem like a logistical thing from the outside looking in. If it was a logistical thing, you probably would have known it was going to be a logistical thing for a while. You don't all of a sudden just be like, I don't know, man, doesn't seem like this will work out anymore.
Maybe what had happened was that he tweeted, like a few weeks back, remember, where he was like, training camp starts. And that's when we were all like, oh, here we go. We're getting Ilia versus Islam. And then we find out, no, Islam was waiting to see if Bilal would lose. He did. He's going up to welterweight. So Ilia fights Charles instead for the vacant lightweight strap. Just some real fumbled opportunities there for a lot of people. Basically, the only one I don't blame in that scenario was Ilia Topuria. He was willing to go up there, take the risk, take a big chance, and chase some greatness in a fight that we thought was going to be kind of difficult for him. Maybe what had happened was we ramped up the training camp, and not everybody was able to make every session the way we thought they would. And we went, all right, this isn't working. We're going to need to do something else. In which case, I guess maybe it's a good thing that you're not fighting Islam Makhachev. But I don't know if you know this, Chad. That fella Chucky Olives, he's no slouch.
He's pretty good.
He's a pretty decent professional cage fighter himself. And I'm just saying, if I were in the Chucky Olives camp, I pull up the internet web one day and I see Ilia Topuria parting ways with his longtime coaches, and he's supposed to fight me in like a month's time. I go, okay, that's not bad news for us. The guy was already going to be kind of tough. Now, if you tell me there might be some discord, maybe the training sessions haven't gone all the way we want to, I go, we'll take it. We'll take any perceived edge you want to give us in this fight.
Yeah, it doesn't seem good. Doesn't seem good for Ilia Topuria. Just got to say that.
Anyway, that's a little added drama just to throw on top of that International Fight Week, Red, White, and Fight Week coming up.
Yeah. by some breaking news at the top of the show. We could use it because we are coming in off this, what I believe we described as a dog shit fight night from down there at the Apex on Saturday. Michael Morales emerged with a first-round TKO win over Gilbert Burns. Yet another signal, perhaps, of a changing of the guard at welterweight, which is a legitimate topic of discussion that we might get into coming up later in the show. We got some listener mail to do. But first, Ben, Jon Jones is back on his fuckery.
Yeah. He is fuckerying big time right now.
Some Jon Jones fuckery is at foot. Let's do this chronologically before we get into. I mean, we don't have to go back to 2010 or whatever. But speaking of Jon Jones,
he crashes a Bentley into a telephone pole. I mean, we could go back, but do we want to start with fucking around on the motorbike in Thailand, or do you want to go back further than that?
Because I was gonna say motorbike.
Okay,
because I couldn't remember if we talked about the motorbike on this show or not.
I think we talked about it maybe on one of our Patreon properties. It might have been a power hour type thing, but it's like when you see Jon Jones on the back of somebody's motorbike with a bit of a glazed look in the eye, let's say, could be jet lag. A lot of things could cause that look in a man's eye. There's some troubling possibilities for what could cause that look in Jon Jones's eye. We see him out there. He's there to film the Russian version of Ultimate Fighter, basically opposite Nate Diaz, filming it in Thailand. And then we see him on a different motorbike video, this time seeming like he is driving the motorbike. Always a great idea for a vehicularly challenged champion like Jon Jones. Riding the motorbike while doing Instagram Live and talking to people. Just good ideas all around there.
Swerving in and out and around parked pickup trucks while he's doing this.
And talking about how people are saying he's ducking Tom Aspinall, and he's saying, how can I be ducking? I'm out here living my best life. I'm really enjoying myself. I don't think that's how it works. And it's just like, it's very clear to us, I think, in all these things, the things Jon Jones is not saying, right? The things that he is explicitly leaving out, such as, I ain't ducking nobody, I'm going to beat Tom Aspinall's ass. That's one thing we haven't heard.
Yeah.
We have not heard Jon Jones say that. And then lately, the past few days, the past week or so, some even more troubling possibilities come to light. One is where we see this video of him talking to somebody where they're asking him about like, hey, when are you going to get back and fight? And he says something along the lines where he's just like, I'm done. And I mean, they're having a casual conversation. It's not like he called a press conference and said, I'm done. He's saying it to like a fellow fighter. It's like somebody else in the space. So he's saying, I'm done. But it also, that's a little bit of a troubling thing. Then he's out here replying to people on Twitter. He will do. And the thing is, you don't have to be a big account for Jon Jones to reply to you. People are tweeting at him all day, every day, and you just never know which is going to be the one that he responds to. In this case, it is at Randy Brown fan.
We found the one.
Yeah. Who replies, enjoying your last days as champ before being stripped, I see, eh, John? And to this, Jon Jones replies, stripped? LOL, do I come across as a type of person who cares about things like that?
Fact check. Yes.
Well, you come across as the kind of person who likes to believe himself to be the kind of person who does not care about things like that. But you do. But when I saw that one, Chad, my eyes went like a cartoon character, like boing. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Because
that's your response to somebody being like, they're going to strip you of this title because you're not going to take this fight. And he's just like, do I look like I care? Not, they ain't stripping nobody because I'm going to beat Tom Aspinall's ass. Again, he's not saying it. Then
can I interject just one thing here?
Please.
And that is just the comment that Jon Jones doesn't care so much that he is replying to randos on Twitter, Randy Brown fan 420 or whatever it is.
No, he didn't have to take 420 because at Randy Brown fan was not taken.
he so doesn't care that when he sees that tweet about him getting stripped, he hits reply, types out an answer, and then hits send. That's how much he doesn't care.
Now, somebody else, at Harris Iqbal 1208 says, yes, otherwise you'd have vacated the belt a long time ago because you don't plan to fight Tom. To which Jon replies, y'all barking up the wrong tree. I told the UFC my plans a long time ago. I have no clue why they haven't shared them with you guys yet. Which I would say to that, you could share them. You are sharing some plans with us, it seems. Like, it's not like you don't have a line of communication to the fans. Clearly you do. You're out here talking to the randos, so you could just tell us your plans. If you have some firm plans, you've shared them with the UFC, why don't you just go ahead and share them with everybody?
Okay, now we're out on spring ice here, trying to determine exactly what Jon Jones means by any of this. But if the plan was retirement, that seems like the kind of thing he could voice to us personally at any point. He could be like, hey, man, I'm done. It was a great run. It's just me and my guns and my wall of victory from here on out. He could say that at any point. This makes it sound like, and again, God, I can't believe I'm doing this. Trying to interpret what Jon Jones means here, this makes it sound like something else may be at foot, right? Because if it wasn't, if it was just Jon Jones pulling the plug on the career, he could just say, hey, man, I'm done. I'm pulling the plug on the career. If it's like something that actually involves the UFC and a fight and something that he wants, then it would be the UFC's purview to tell us. The UFC is not going to come out and be like, oh, Jon Jones is retired. We're announcing it right now ourselves. Jon Jones is retired. That's not going to happen, except at some press conference, Dana White will randomly make an offhand comment about how Jon Jones doesn't need to fight anymore because he's got so much money.
Instead, Dana White is out here saying he's confident they'll get that fight done. So who knows what he means by that? If he means the plans I shared with the UFC was I'm going to go fuck off in Thailand for a while, and then when I get back, we'll talk. Could be that. Also, though, at some point where he is asked by at UFC Fried Chicken,
okay,
what exactly are your plans? And he writes, to continue to monetize on this amazing brand that I've created.
Well, hold on. What does he think the brand is?
Yeah.
And how does he think he's created it? Because I have some ideas, but they may not be the same as his.
Especially because we have seen Jon Jones do tremendous damage to the Jon Jones brand over the years.
Is that the brand? That's the brand. As far as anyone else in MMA is concerned, that's the brand. The Jon Jones brand is I crash my car, I get eliminated from competition, I shoot my gun off outside the strip club, I assaulted my partner during my special night in Las Vegas. That's the Jon Jones brand. And then, the addendum to all that is, and he's probably the greatest mixed martial arts fighter of all time. That's the brand. He built that by shooting his gun off out in front of the strip club. That's how he built it.
And it's like, I remember when Jon Jones had like a Nike deal and everything, and it was a big deal. And then they were like, whoa, wait a minute. We're not sure we want to be involved with the dude who broke the pregnant lady's arm in a car crash, then ran off, then came back for his weed, then ran off again. Like,
that's the brand.
That is the brand.
And coming back for the weed and running off again. That's the brand.
To monetize on that brand, that amazing brand, seems tricky. But then when at Chaos Rizzler,
the MMA press corps here,
tells him LMAO, shut the fuck up and fight, he replies, this attitude right here is making me a very wealthy man. This desperation is incredibly lucrative, so thank you. Keep it coming. Now, I can only assume that what he means by that is that the more of a demand there is from fans for this Tom Aspinall fight, the more he can charge the UFC, the more he can make off of doing that fight. But that only works if you do the fight. It doesn't work if you're fucking around in Thailand. You know? I'm sure getting paid to go out there to Thailand, obviously, and do the Russian tough, but I don't know, man. That doesn't seem like that is right there going to make you a very wealthy man. Right? Like right now, you're not making any money off of making us mad at you that you're not doing the Tom Aspinall fight. You're hoping that that will translate to more money in the future. But right now, the thing you are not saying is that you'll beat Tom Aspinall's ass. That's the one thing you're saying everything but that. Which, I mean, maybe you can sell me on that continues to be Jon Jones as just an incredibly savvy negotiator. Just working every side of this deal to get himself the most money. I don't know, though. I'm not so sure based on just everything what we've seen up to this point.
I mean, it doesn't sound like a negotiating ploy in any way, especially if you're like, man, I told the UFC my plans. I don't know why they haven't told you guys yet. That doesn't sound like a negotiating ploy. I will say this. Every single word of these tweets reminds me that Jon Jones thinks he is smarter than the rest of us.
Yeah.
Like he thinks that he is a genius. And we've seen this kind of personality before throughout our lives. It is a personality archetype to be the dumb guy who thinks he is smarter than everyone else.
Yes.
And that's
Brock Lesnar did it for a long time.
And that's what every one of these tweet replies screams to me, that Jon Jones is back on his fuckery and meanwhile thinks that he is smarter than everyone else.
Also, the thing that I think people latched onto most recently to give themselves some hope is that he was on his Instagram stories sharing a clip of a dog calmly wrestling another much louder dog to the ground. He added the caption, quote, "What I feel like returning to the UFC after some much needed downtime." To which I would reply, man, how are you going to go on vacation when you hardly ever work? Like, Jon Jones, since 2020, Jon Jones has fought twice. He has not fought more than once in a calendar year and since 2019, where he fought Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, both two, pretty lackluster performances by him. As the last time he fought twice in one calendar year. The last time before that he fought twice in one calendar year, do you want to guess what year it was?
Can't even guess.
2013.
Jesus Christ.
Now we're looking at a situation where in the past 5 years, we've seen him fight twice. He fought Cyril Gahn in March of 2023, then came back like a year and a half later, fought Stipe, a semi-retired, aged Stipe in November of 2024, and then pieced right the fuck out again. He's like basically the least active UFC champion by a hefty margin. And to be out here just talking about like some much needed downtime from what?
Vacation from what? This is a crazy person, man. I know that ever since he walked into the UFC, ever since Jon Jones walked into our lives, he has always been sort of a different kind of a dude, right? Even from the very early days of the UFC, it was clear this was a guy marching to his own beat, right? Taping off the dimensions of his opponents on the wall in his apartment so he could practice fighting them, saying that he was learning his techniques from YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. And for a while, it was endearing, I suppose, to think of Jon Jones as this incredibly talented weirdsmobile. And then he started building the brand. And we have arrived at the 2025 version of Jon Jones that is such a bizarre and strange creature. I don't even fully know how to describe it. Like this, he's a crazy person.
I also have to throw out here the possibility that, okay, even if you're Jon Jones, let's say best case scenario, you're out there, you're playing everybody. Like you're just playing them like a fiddle. Everybody's dancing to your tune, man. You got them right where you want them. You totally know you're going to come back on your own terms, on your own timetable, and you're going to beat Tom Aspinall's ass. Here you are, you're 37. You could be 38 this summer. So, like, definitely, by the no way you're fighting before July 19th when you turn 38. So you're going to be 38 at least by the time you get in there against this big young fellow, Gas Hands Tom. In the interim, you are going to be out there living your best life in Thailand, and we know what the hell that means. It's not Michael Chandler out there in Thailand. It's not Muscle Milk Mike.
Going to church.
Going to church, going to bed early, getting up with the sun. That ain't what's happening when Jon Jones is out there in Thailand. We know what the much needed downtime probably looks like. And then you're going to turn around after, you feel like you've been screwing out long enough. You're going to get back in the gym. Here we go. Let's go over there and fight Tom Aspin. You could be closing in on 40. You're going to have been enjoying your downtime. Do you think that Jon Jones just thinks, I'm the one guy who's never going to age and never going to pay the price for maybe not taking care of my body super well?
Yes.
Because that could be a disaster. You get in there with a big fellow like Tom, and you've just been thinking like, whatever. When it's time, I'll turn it on again.
Yes, that's what he thinks. That's exactly what he thinks. If he is thinking that at all, if he cares at all, that's what he thinks. That's what he thinks.
And I don't even need to tell you about how the wall of victory don't have more room on it.
Yeah, Javier and Lyric are hoping he doesn't come back. They just want to go over there, hang the Stipe poster, and be done with it. They don't want to totally reconfigure the wall of victory.
No, they do not.
But it's still pledge month, though, right?
Of course I knew that.
We got 2 weeks left here during CME Pledge Month, the annual time every year where we celebrate this podcast's birthday by making our annual appeal to you, the beloved listener. CME, occasionally we just need a little support, man. We need a little help. We have needs. We have critical needs on this show. We've been doing it for 13 years. We do it by ourselves. It's not supported by any other brand. It's not supported by a big MMA website. We haven't been bought by Saudi Arabia yet. It's just us. We don't have the golden parachute waiting for us at the end of this thing. All we have is you, the beloved listeners. And this is the month where you can help us out. And we'd love it if you would sign up to join the team over there at patreon.com/co-main event right now. You can save 50% off a monthly or annual subscription. If you are not currently a member of the CME Patreon, you can use the coupon code CME13. That's CME13 when you sign up at patreon.com/co-main event. Get 50% off. We'd love to have you. Your support and generosity are what keep the CME going. And hopefully we'll be here for another 13 years. Although, Ben, last week you did threaten to die.
Yeah, that I will die if people don't support us. Here's the other thing. I would say this to the listeners. We could do this the easy way, or we could do this the hard way.
God. Okay. Yeah. What's the easy way first? Let's start there.
The easy way is that you join the team.
Okay.
That you sign up for the Patreon. You get to come in and enjoy the weekly CME live chat, which is always a lot of fun. We get into all kinds of topics. You get to enjoy doing the damn thing where we talk all kinds of other stuff that's not necessarily MMA related. You get the Power Hour, where you get to learn from our terrible counterexample on the perils of sports betting. And not to mention, get down with the weekly power rankings themselves, with the most powerful happening in all of mixed martial arts. Everybody knows that. So you also get access to the Discord, get to chop it up with all the patrons. You join just frankly a lovely community of wonderful people, many of whom become IRL friends, or at least, deep, meaningful internet friends. We're all having a great time. I got CME patrons DMing me hilarious shit on Instagram all the time. We're having a great time once you join the team. The hard way, Chad, is we're going to have to start scamming people.
Are we going to have our own crypto coin?
We're going to have a meme coin. Yeah. CME
Folks coin. Folks coin. I got nothing to do with it. That's all. Yeah, I didn't even know it was happening. This is me talking to the federal investigators.
Don't you even act like
Folks coin? No.
Once it's just revealed as a pump and dump scheme, I won't take a Khamzat Chimaev route and just be like, I got some bad advice from my financial advisor, Chad Dundas. He said this is the way to do it. I'm just a simple country boy. I didn't know any better. I took Chad's advice. Anywho, listen, we're going upriver hand in hand, my friend. That's what I'm telling you. But listen, what I'm really saying is don't make us do this.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't make us scam you guys.
Alpha brain. Take our supplements. It'll make you smart. Skinny and smart.
See, this is where the meme coin people really, they figured it out because they were like, oh yeah, I could do like some Alex Jones fake ass supplements where I do the before and after picture where all I did was like get a tan and move a little further away from the camera. But then I actually have to have a physical product to give people. If I just come up with a fake crypto coin, I don't have to have anything. Nothing actually has to move physically around in the world. And they can just get you to give me money. That is scamming on the next level. And so that's what I aspire for us. We're going to be like Khamzat Chimaev and the Hawk Tua girl. I don't want to do it. I don't want it to get to that point, but you'll force my hand.
I mean, you just said pump and dump, so it's possible that you wind up more like the Hawk Tua girl than you think.
I see what you did there. It's a sexual innuendo. That's what you did.
Sign up now to get the CME's free ebook on how to get rich through real estate. Another way you could help us out is you can save 25% right now over at the CME shop. You do it with the same code CME13, get 25% off your entire order. We got t-shirts, we got hats, we got hoodies, we got everything. We got the best-selling Daddest Man on the Planet coffee mug. Oh, by the way, I know I told you about this a few weeks ago, but just a reminder, we got Daddest Man on the Planet t-shirts now. In fact, we just sent one out to Lompoc, California yesterday. Think that's how you say it, Lompoc?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how you say it for sure. Do we send it to the prison out there?
I don't know. I hope our guy Tim enjoys it out there in Lompoc. Put in his order. I assume we're not sending it to the Hooskow. I assume we're sending it to his private residence.
Okay. The Hooskow, this guy said.
Anyway, now through June 1st, save 50% off a CME Patreon subscription. Go to patreon.com/co-main event, sign up with the coupon code CME13, or go over to the website co-mainevent.com, click the link at the top of the screen. It says shop. Use the same code CME13, save 25% off there. All right, enough of Jon Jones's fuckery. Like we always do about this time. Let's do a little bit of listener mail.
Listener mail.
First piece of listener mail this week comes to us from our guy, Dan Alexander, who writes, at last, some balance has been restored to the universe. Dana White has been given the TKO treatment and has now been removed from his lead promoting duties for the Crawford versus Canelo boxing match. Are these the first cracks appearing in the relationship between Turkey and White, with their collective ambitions to usher in to boxing a UFC-like structure and miserly pay model to strip away athletes' rights by changing the Ali Act, and all in the name of enriching themselves whilst neutering the boxers? I guess I just wanted your thoughts as a part of White's misfortune. It's an otherwise depressing story, although I have my favorite. I'll pretend to love you both equally. Yeah, we don't have to tell folks about that. So yeah, what this is actually a weird thing, right?
It is a weird thing. And in answer to the question, my first thought when I heard, not only like, are we sort of going to cut Dana White and the TKO people out of this one, we're also going to set that fight, the Canelo Crawford fight, for the same date as UFC Noche, right? The one that we're planning to do at Guadalajara. UFC 320 on September 13th. And that one, I mean, I will note, our guy, Rodrigo Del Campo, was noting that arena, the construction of that arena in Guadalajara has faced some setbacks, so who even knows if it'll be ready in time for that. But the fact that they're going to be like, TKO actually not going to be involved in this one, and we're going to do it on the same night as a UFC event. My first thought was, I always thought we'd get here. I just didn't think we'd get here this quickly. Because you're basically the god of oil, spraying gold all over combat sports right now, and really enjoying being the guy, the ultimate puppet master in boxing right now. And then you come up with a megalomaniac from a different combat sport who's used to having his way all the time. It was not hard for me to imagine a scenario in which these two would kind of butt heads, or where somebody would have to assert his dominance over somebody else.
Yeah.
It's just as surprising that we kind of just announced that TKO boxing thing was going to become a thing, with like the Saudis putting up all the money. That just happened. We haven't even really done it yet. And already people are looking at it and going, we see some cracks in the facade. We see some strains in the alliance. So kind of right away.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation, because it is, from our point of view, a bit of a foreign territory in our relationship with Dana White. We're normally used to having him just doing whatever he wants and never ever facing a consequence of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
At least the ones we hear about. I mean, the fact is, of his many, many business ventures, I think the only two that have ever been even reasonably successful are the UFC and Power Slap, right? So the only times he's ever actually done anything that works are when he has billionaires standing behind him, putting all the money in, assuming most of the risk. But those have all been financial backers that have given him carte blanche. He's always had carte blanche, from the Fertitta brothers into the TKO era on to today. And so this is an interesting situation when, as you said, perhaps he comes up against someone else who's going to insist on at least having some of their vision fulfilled, maybe all of their vision, and the kind of guy you're not going to push around. Dana White's not going to be able to get on the phone and yell swear words and blunder around and convince the Saudis to do anything they don't want to do, right? That's not going to happen. So this is an interesting situation. I'm not totally sure what to make of it. Maybe it's just something procedural that will all come out in the wash, and everybody's happy, and everybody's going to live happily ever after and carry giant garbage sacks of money out the back door, all these events. But it doesn't seem like that right now. So it will be interesting to see how it develops, and whether, again, it could just be a scheduling glitch to not make that much out of, but having basically counter programming UFC Noche is an interesting move.
Yeah.
Next question this week comes to us from Akbar Ticklegoose, who writes, "Greetings, my fellow scholars. I have no doubt you have pronounced my name correctly this week. And for that, I say cheers and raise you a virtual glass of goose. Wanted to discourse on the middleweight fight announcements. So we get Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis in Chicago, ? And our boy Bobby Knuckles versus Rainier de Ridder. How do you see this playing out? I see Chimaev smashing DDP, as much as I hate to say it. De Ridder winning a competitive fight over Bobby Knuckles. This would set up Chimaev versus De Ridder, which would become the fight I'd be looking forward to most in the back half of 2025, other than the Jones-Aspinall, which I don't see happening. I don't think Chimaev versus De Ridder was on anyone's list heading into 2025, but if this plays out the way I think it will, I can't think of another fight I would rather see.
You know, I agree that as much as I love Bobby Knuckles, I could see RDR going in there and getting a win over him at this point in both guys' careers.
Yeah.
It's not that hard for me to picture. Where the thing about seeing Chimaev smashing DDP, I'll just say, we're doing it again.
Yeah, we are.
We are doing it again, where every time Dricus du Plessis wins a fight. We go, already won this one, but he will lose the next one. And he hasn't. It just hasn't happened. I understand how people look at the Chimaev fight and to be like, all right, this is a different kind of fight than he's faced. It is a very different stylistic matchup. But also, it's a different kind of fight than Chimaev has faced. We've seen Chimaev get used to being the bigger fighter, bullying people around in there, and here he's going to fight a guy who is a big dude for the division, an awkward dude to get ready for. If he can't just go get on him right away on the first round, I think Chimaev has serious problems with DDP.
Yeah.
If he has to get into the second, third, fourth, fifth rounds, I think he might have some real difficulties. So I am not ready to say Chimaev smashes DDP. He could absolutely win that fight. I could also see ways he could absolutely lose that fight. And at this point, I feel like at some point I gotta start with the man in the mirror. I gotta stop doing it to DDP. I gotta stop being like, okay, you won again, but I still somehow deep in my heart think you suck. Like, we just can't keep doing that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's as clear-cut a victory for Khamzat Chimaev as a lot of people seem to, for the same reasons that you just cited. And, DDP doesn't seem like the kind of guy he's going to be able to bully around either. Like, DDP is a big, athletic, strong, legitimate, I should say legitimately sized middleweight that I don't know if Khamzat's just going to be able to go out there and do the things that he is used to doing against smaller guys that he'll be able to do against DDP. And DDP is going to be out there ready to throw crazy bungalows out of his back pocket and make no sense for 25 minutes.
Yep.
So that's what he does. So I feel like that is a more interesting fight than maybe people are giving it credit for. However, we did say the same thing about his fight with Robert Whittaker. We did say, if he can get out of the first round and put this thing in deep water, Khamzat Chimaev might be in trouble. Robert Whittaker is a tough customer. I don't know if he can go out there and run through him. And then he broke his face
in the first round. But we could still end up, maybe we were right about that if he could have got out of the first round, it would have been a different fight. He just couldn't do that part of it.
What you're saying is that our philosophy was sound.
Perhaps.
We had sound underpinnings, even though our hypothesis did not prove correct.
People who are familiar with our gambling segment have no doubt heard this logic before.
Sometimes our philosophy is grounded and seemingly right, and it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
On the other side of the coin, this is who Robert Whittaker is now, right? This is who Bobby Knuckles is. This is the spot in the division that I don't know that I want to say regressed to, but this is where he is now. He is no longer the guy who is perennially one win away from being a title contender. He is now the measuring stick. Mm-hmm. He is the guy that we put the up-and-comers up against to see if they can break his face in the first round and then move on to title shots. And that's who RDR is right now.
I will say, as a measuring stick, he has proven to be a good one because only people who are really good get past him. Like, you look at who this dude has lost to since he went to middleweight in the UFC. And it's just Israel Adesanya twice, DDP, and Khamzat.
Yeah.
So he has done that job as they hate to have gatekeeper as a term. And especially if you've been a former champ, then a gatekeeper feels somehow like incomplete a term. But if you're looking to use somebody as like, let's find out if this dude is for real or kind of a flash in the pan, Robert Whittaker going to find out for you one way or another.
I agree with you. I love the Reaper. I am a Bobby Knuckles guy through and through. But if you're going to say the only people that he loses to are the champions, are the top of the heap, the flip side, the other side of that coin is, what is his most recent best win? See, that's a long pause right there.
Yeah, he looked good in that Paulo Costa fight, but then it's also like, what does a win over Paulo Costa mean at this point? They threw in the Ikram Al-Skarov guy at the last minute, and he was just like, I'll show you why you don't do that. So, I don't know. He's still good, is what I'm saying.
I agree. I think he's still good. I'm just...
Could have got out of the first round against Khamzat. Who knows?
Solid ground. Our hypothesis was on solid ground. Next question this week comes to us from McGregor's Dealer's Unscrupulous Drug Lawyer. He writes, lads, Darren Till won another boxing match. That's 2 now. Neither of them came against anyone you could call a serious boxer, but he was the main event and they treated him like he was a star or something. Is he actually better off with Misfits boxing than he would be if he were still just another guy in the UFC? I feel like this depends on how much he's getting paid, right?
Yeah.
If he's getting paid more, then yeah, he's better off for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he was the headline attraction here, and it's in terms of just like actual attention paid to him and everything. Like, you're right that the money, who knows? But it does seem like what the UFC had decided Darren Till was good for was, let's see if we can get him beat up by somebody else who we have more of a future stake in. You know how the UFC gets about people like that, where they'll kind of they'll decide at a certain point, we went where we were going to go with this guy. Now let's see if we can use him for the next guy. And it seemed like they had made up their mind about Darren Till, which might be one of the reasons they let him go do this stuff. And so if you can go over somewhere like Misfits Boxing and to them, you're kind of the whole show, then yeah, it's probably working out better for you than it was just to be another interchangeable person on the UFC roster. I will say this, I watched this Misfits Boxing thing because I had to do the Yahoo Live blog on it. I enjoyed some aspects of it more than I expected to. I speak now, of course, about the 4-man heavyweight survivor tag match.
Okay, first of all, listen to yourself. Second of all,
this is sport of the future.
What was this? We talked about this last week, I think on the Power Hour over on the Patreon page. Heavyweight survivor tag team match. I had a lot of ideas of what this could be. What was it? What rule set were we working with, if that was even perceptible?
Okay. First of all, I will say, what rule set are we working with seemed to be a question the promoters were asking themselves during the event.
It so often is.
But basically, the thing is, it's 4 guys, but it's not tag teams, really, because no one's on a team with each other. You can tag out, but it's not necessarily like you have to tag your partner. You can just tag one of the other guys and get his ass in there. And it creates an interesting dynamic because you get in there and you saw like the first round of this thing. First of all, the one who won it was the big homie Tempo Arts. Frankie Freelove, Tempo Arts.
Yeah. Frankie Freelove.
He also, the promoters noted at one point in the broadcast, they're like, well, he is the only one of these people in this boxing match who has a professional boxing win on his record. And he definitely seemed to be the one who, didn't look as good getting off the bus as some other guys, but definitely had more boxing technique and expertise than the other guys. And so he seemed like he was going to be the favorite to win. But he goes out there in the first round, and I can't remember who it was he was up against in the first round. Like, they decided it by rock, scissors, paper, by the way, who was going to start. And he drilled this dude, had him hurt. And the guy was on wobbly legs late in the round and was like, you know what? I'm out. Like, tag somebody. And it's not like you can refuse the tag. They come over there to tag. They tag you in. You're in. And there were a couple different times in this thing where you'd see somebody get rocked and you're like, could they? You see them start to look around and be like, am I in a corner that has somebody in it, or am I in one of the other corners? And they're looking around for somebody they could tag in so that they can get their ass out of there and recover. It creates an interesting dynamic. And the way they did it was, I think, after the second or the third, maybe it was after the third, they looked at like the scoring, like judges were scoring it at ringside, and then whoever had the lowest score, if nobody had been knocked out, was eliminated. So then you're down to 3. Then you go into the 4th round with 3 guys, and then whoever has the lowest score, if nobody is knocked out, gets eliminated at the end of the 4th. And then it's just 2 guys left for the 5th and final round. Tempo Arts ended up winning it, but it was an interesting way to do it. I was watching it going, this is way better than Power Slap, for one thing. And just like, we've talked before about people sometimes discount how fight sports, you got to get us to care about these people on a personal emotional, some kind of level like that. You can't just be like two guys are fighting. It's got to be something more than that. And this thing successfully did that because it creates this weird dynamic of like people getting whittled down. And by the end of it, when I started, I was like, I don't know who any of these fucking people are. And by the end of it, I was like, I really want to see Tempo Arts win this fucking thing, man.
You built a relationship with Frankie Freelove.
I came away from this thing being like, this is the future of fighting. 4-man survivor tag. Because shit, after this, I'll watch any motherfuckers do 4-man survivor tag. You just don't even know all the different, like, the interplay. And then imagine we start getting into like a reality TV type situation where there's secret alliances and betrayals and whatnot. It could be fascinating stuff.
More to the point, Darren Till better off being the big fish in a small pond?
Yes, I think so. I mean, again, like maybe he's making terrible money, but this was a fucking DAZN pay-per-view. They seem to have a pretty good crowd for this. Misfits Boxing seems like one of those things that is throwing money around, whether they're recouping the costs or not. Darren Till seems like he gets to keep fighting MMA guys in boxing and being the better boxer in those. I'll tell you what, I'll give Darren Stewart some credit in this thing because he got dropped hard by a good left-hander in the first round. And you looked at it and you're just like, okay, we're not going to be here too long. Darren Till is just nailing this guy with left hands. And he lasted till the final bell in the 8th round and started to kind of come back just by being like unconcerned with being hit and going to keep coming forward and would wait for Darren Till to slow down, put him against the ropes. He would land some shots, everything. He got dropped again, like almost got put through the ropes, like right as the bell rang in the 8th round, and still beat the count to take it to a decision. But I was like, all right, that dude's tough as all hell. But also it does seem like we're out here trying to find opponents Darren Till can look good against.
Have you seen this Dirty Boxing 2 card?
With the
Biggie Boy?
Biggie Boy in the main event.
Jairzinho Rosenstrike, Alex Caceres, also on this card. Alex Nicholson, remember him?
Vaguely.
Jessica Rose Clark.
Oh.
Phil Hawes.
Phil Hawes. Oh, okay.
She is fighting Marilia Moraes.
Okay.
Francisco Trinaldo.
Are we doing this one from like a smoky back room in Miami somewhere?
Boston Salmon. Remember Boston Salmon?
Yeah.
Hard name to forget.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
When your name sounds like a dinner special, we're going to remember you.
I don't see a venue. Oh, now I'm listening to the song on the Instagram post.
Hell yeah.
The Hangar, maybe, is the venue.
Okay.
Last question this week comes to us from Ray Traylor Jr., who, without looking, I believe is the big boss man.
Okay.
He writes, anyone else remember all the way back a couple weeks ago when Alex Pereira's Twitter got quote unquote hacked? So you're telling me this crack squad of hackers got in there, posted exactly one tweet critical of the UFC, and that was it? They just disappeared after that, and he apparently regained control of his account? That's unusual. Don't you guys think that's unusual? This does seem like a very unusual hacking.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think is that Alex Pereira got his own crack team of cybersecurity professionals on the case, and they were able to put a bird's nest around it before it got, or a bird cage, I guess. Bird's nest, that doesn't make any sense, around it before it got too bad.
Yeah, immediately. They got it on there immediately, regained control of the account, deleted that post. I went and looked to see afterwards if it was still up there, and it's gone. So, yeah, they put that fire out. It is amazing that if you got control of Alex Pereira's account, you're like, boys, we're in.
Yeah, it's time to start posting about Volkscoin nonstop.
The thing you would choose to do is to post a pretty measured criticism, honestly. Like, even though it was like, I'm upset with the UFC, I'm considering not fighting again, I don't like the way they're treating me right now. But it's not like, fuck Dana White, that bald bitch. It's not like that, and it's not immediately trying to scam us or trying to get us to follow a link somewhere else. It's just like, a pretty calm and not at all unprecedented criticism from a former champion against the UFC. And then he's like, sorry, I was hacked. I showed you this video. Everybody who hasn't seen this video, I put it up on my Twitter, but you got to go see when DC and Chael Sonnen start talking about it. And DC says, I think Alex Pereira is lying. He wasn't hacked. And Chael Sonnen's fake surprised face. That's why we have Chael Sonnen in the role we have him in this sport. That's him earning his keep right there. He does his fake surprise face where he goes, covers his mouth like he can't believe what he's just heard. Like it's never occurred to him the possibility that Alex Pereira might be lying about having been hacked. It's incredible work by Chael. And yeah, like, come on. This feels like a sort of MMA scandal from like 2010, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. When people used to like fuck up on the internet and then claim they were hacked. We haven't had one of these in a long time. And it feels half-hearted even to make that claim. Like, we're not buying it. We know it's bullshit. We know, but also you're just going to say that and then say nothing else for a long time and hope everybody moves on.
What do you think the UFC does? And if you're Alex Pereira, do you just have to just like a teen who threw a party while his parents were gone? Do you just have to stick to the lie far beyond the point of believability where you just know I got hacked, man. Got hacked.
It can happen to anybody.
Got hacked. Luckily, Glover was able to get to shut him down. Remember, have you ever seen those scenes in the movie of the hacker where you just see their eyes above the laptop screen and then you see like a close up of their fingers like going crazy? Mm-hmm. Just imagine that, but it's Glover Teixeira.
And he's just surrounded. He's got like 3 different screens and a bunch of bottles of Mountain Dew Code Red, and he's just going hard at it. Do you think the UFC calls him up and is just like, sorry to hear you were hacked. Do you need us to send a cybersecurity expert over there? We could have somebody there to you by tomorrow morning.
Dana White could sit in a van outside your house. Glover Teixeira is pointing at the screens being like, enhance. Anyway, that's going to do it for listener mail this week. If you have a question, comment, or concern that you want to air to the podcast in future weeks, you know how to do it. Go to our website, comainevent.com, and click the link in the top right-hand corner of the screen that says email the podcast. That'll get you in touch with us right now. Washed at welterweight. We're going to talk about that right after this. Well, Ben, I know it's basically your tagline at this point. So could you, just for the people, just real quick, say that Michael Morales beat Gilbert Burns' ass?
He beat his ass, Chad.
He did. He really did beat his ass. 3 minutes and 39-second TKO win for Michael Morales. Really just hurt him with that uppercut, man. Hit him with this uppercut that Gilbert Burns, he was out of it after that, and then ended up not pounding him unconscious, but
he was thumping him pretty good, though.
Gilbert
didn't really have an answer for it. This one made me a little sadder than I expected it to, because we were talking about it beforehand, especially when we were going through the power rankings on Friday, and one of them was Gilbert Burns saying that his comeback was going to be like a movie, bro. And we were like, science fiction? Because I don't know, man. This is kind of a tough one for you. And then he goes out there. He's clearly brought in to play a role, and whether he knew it or not, the UFC they've been using Gilbert Burns this way for a little while now. Just like I was trying to say about Darren Till, like what the UFC was going to do with him if they kept him around. You look at Gilbert Burns' last few fights, because again, like this is a guy who was challenging for the title in 2021, like 4 years ago, really not that long ago, and damn near won the title. When he was out there, had Kamaru Usman hurt early in that fight, and then he loses it, right? Comes back, grapples his way to that win over Stephen Thompson. Then they throw him in there with Hamza. They had themselves a little bit of a slobber knocker. Pretty good fight, but he lost a decision there. Then he gets back on the wins with Neil Magny, Jorge Masvidal. But then since then, Bilal Muhammad lost, Jack Della Maddalena, KO, Sean Brady lost, and now Michael Morales. Like that, there's no easy fights in that bunch. But that's clearly them saying, like, all right, we think Gilbert is the guy we can use to help us shine a light on some other guys.
Yeah.
The younger guys, the guys on their way up. JDM, Sean Brady, they definitely fit into that category. They seem like the new guard at welterweight. Michael Morales, that's who's coming up next. And you look at it, especially, you can just kind of see it when you look around all over welterweight right now. And it seems like it happened almost overnight.
Yeah.
I know it didn't, but that feels like you just sort of looked around and you went, wait a minute. It used to be guys like Gilbert Burns, Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, Leon Edwards, all those guys kind of right there. And now all those guys seem like they are basically done. And now you look around and it's guys like JDM, Sean Brady, Ian Gary, Shavkat Rachmanov. Those are the guys now. Just like all at once, you see this huge replacement at the top. And it's an exciting time for welterweight because you see like a bunch of fresh matchups are possible now. There's a bunch of like exciting new fighters who are exciting in different ways and for different reasons. But it is sort of like this whole old guard that we just sort of pushed onto an iceberg and shoved it out to sea, basically.
Wow, bleak. Yeah, Michael Morales, he flew up 4 spots in the UFC's official rankings, which is a nice little bump for that guy. I noticed you didn't include Michael Venom Page among the young guard, the new guard.
No, dude.
Young Lions.
Was he like 38?
He's older than that. Michael Venom Page is 38. Wow, you were right on. He did lose to Ian Gary 2 fights ago, but still, we don't know what his ceiling is, Ben.
I think we know.
Where does Bilal Muhammad fit in with that, though? We don't know about him yet, right?
See, the thing is with Bilal Muhammad, you're like, I think Bilal Muhammad probably still beats a lot of these guys in top 7 or 8. But are we going to give him a chance?
Yeah.
Because the UFC does not want Bilal Muhammad back with the belt around his waist if they can help it.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever really wanted that. I don't think they saw that as this is the most profitable or most exciting thing we could have going on here. He ends up losing in his first title defense. And I think that they will make it really hard for him to get back in there unless they have to, unless it's like either he beats the shit out of everybody and you can't deny him anymore, which at his age is getting less likely, or we have a last minute withdrawal. We need somebody, and he's the guy who picks up the phone and says yes.
It must be an interesting psychological situation to be in if you are a Gilbert Burns, right? Because basically self-deception is a necessary trait in a professional fighter, you could argue, because every one of these guys thinks he's about to be the champion.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, there's no reason to even be in it. And Gilbert Burns, as you said, he's in the media the week before the fight saying Darren as champion. It's going to be like a movie. And you and I were like, it would be an unbelievable fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
He is right about that. And yet a dude like Dustin Poirier, he clearly knew, right? He's walking over to the cage, looking through the chain links and to asking Dana White if he's sure he wants him out here fighting these young guys. So on some level, you got to be like, they think I'm done. Like they think I'm a stepping stone. I'm here to be the measuring stick for these young guys. The best I could do is go out there and shock them. So I don't know. I suppose that puts a chip on your shoulder and you go out there and you train hard thinking you're going to shock the world and pull off the upset. But at the same time, that's a weird place to be in as a professional athlete.
Yeah, it really is. And it's just, I guess, weird. It seems that it's happened to so many of these guys all at once, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, again, it didn't really happen all at once, but it seemed to, especially because you have all these guys where it feels like only yesterday that we were looking at guys like Ian Gary and being like, Yeah, I mean, like, he's entertaining to have around, I guess, talking a bunch of shit, but he's not on the level with these dudes. And then you turn around and it's like, maybe he is. And maybe those guys are on the way down and he's on the way up. And it just seems like it's exciting as a fan, because you look around, when you look now at, the top 10, and you look at like 6 or 7 of those guys where you're like, you could really mix and match these guys, have some fun fights, some fun new people that you're sort of getting to know as serious guys in the division. The other guys who we're fucking sick of, especially Colby Covington, we're not going to really have to see them quite as much anymore. They are not quite so relevant anymore. And it just goes like, sometimes I've heard people bring up this issue where they're like, it seems like the top guys in any division in the UFC, it gets harder and harder to get them a fight. Like, what the hell is up with that? Like, actually get them in there to get them their next fight. And I go, well, some of that is just the math on it, that if you're the number 3 guy, there's fewer people that it makes sense for you to fight than if you're number 15, or if you're not ranked and you're trying to break in still. There's not that, if you're the number 3 guy, it makes sense for you to fight anybody above you and maybe 1 or 2 spots below you. But that's still not that many guys. Plus, there is that chance. We know how MMA fans can be. We know how fickle the whole thing can be. You go out there, you're the number 3 guy, you accept a fight against the number 5 guy, you lose, and people start to go, oh, you're washed. Like, that's how quickly it can kind of turn on you.
Yeah.
And so it seems like it's just happened to a bunch of guys sort of all at once. And some of that's just time and the way the way these things just sort of move on you. But it's also, you see how excited the fans get, where they're like, oh, it's a bummer that you guys are food for the young now. Anywho, I'm excited about those fights, though.
It's not a position you always see athletes in other sports get into, right? And normally you get cut, you get run. Then you ain't got it anymore. They move you along. They don't feed you to the next guy very often. So it's an interesting place for professional fighters to be. All right, that's going to do it for the Co-Main Event podcast this week. We'll be over at the Patreon page all week long. Every day after this, we'll be there. Go sign up, patreon.com/co-main event. Use that coupon code CME13. Get 50% off a monthly or annual subscription. You pay us for a year, get 50% off. You don't even have to worry about it again. Yeah. As for right now, we'd love to see you over there. If we don't, we'll see you right back here next week. But as for right now, we are done. We are through. We are out. Did you see Sean Strickland called out Bilal Muhammad?
Fine. That's fine.
Do it for Palestine, he says.
Okay, Sean Strickland.
The one thing I do like about Sean Strickland, though, here's his quote. Why is Sean Strickland always talking to Helen Yee? Is it because they just both live in Vegas?
Yes.
He says, Bilal would be a fun fight. That would be a fun one. Sack up, dog. This is it. You can sack the fuck up, dude. All that shit you talked, we can finally make it happen. You lost your belt. You kind of got fucked up. I kind of got fucked up. We should make that fight happen, Bilal.
I tell you, if this guy can't get a fight with a fucking YouTuber who doesn't know how to fight, he will take a guy from a different weight class. He will accept that.